A growing number of women are choosing not to have kids and as a result are advancing in their careers and using their wealth to buy property and travel more. This is an article by Bloomberg, I think, came out of their Business Week edition. Ashley Marraro isn't married and doesn't have kids, and she has a message for women just like her: you can still have it all. I love my life and feel very fulfilled, says Marraro, who froze her eggs in 2018 to keep her options open. The 43-year-old feels a deep sense of satisfaction from her job as a sales representative for a maker of medical devices, which brings her into contact with patients, and she relishes all of the lifestyle and financial freedoms that come with being a single, child-free woman in a well-paying job. Marraro, who was married for 4 years before getting divorced in 2008, enjoys an enviable degree of financial independence. The West Village resident owns her own apartment, she bought in 2019 for around $900,000 and then renovated. And in June, she closed on a summer home in New Jersey's Long Beach Island with her sister Christina, who's a few years older and also single with no kids. Ashley figures she's taken 10 trips in the last 12 months and often friends with a large group of about 25 people who are largely unmarried and don't have children. Those trips at 43 sound like they suck. I do not want to go on that trip, frankly.
So everything you just described there is kind of like a symptom of what I would call the wider mating crisis. And it seems to be like a cultural kind of prioritizing of the male default of economic success. The kind of girl boss, lean in kind of culture seems to be set up as what the vision for success for women tends to be. And yet you have a lot of even corporate giants kind of getting in on this. A few years ago, you had Morgan Stanley, the investment bankers, put out a report that forecasts that 45% of prime working age women between the ages of 25 and 44 will be single and childless by 2030, the largest share in history. And it's not entirely obvious to me that this is in women's best interests. I mean, I'm pretty libertarian in my sensibilities about, freedom of choice, whatever someone wants to do with their life. But it seems to me like you can see the kind of corporate interest in opening up more worker drones for 60-hour work weeks. The workplace now, women are crushing it. It's a brain-based economy rather than a brawn-based economy. So that seems to be in their interests. And it's weird. It's almost like Huxleyan. It's like Brave New World. Have you read that, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's very Huxleyan. It's like this kind of hedonistic life of going on lots of trips, having very atomized type of sex. Singlehood will be on the rise. You won't get attached to any one person. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That kind of thing. And it seems a little bit dystopian to me, to kind of, to hurtle towards that dystopian vision. But that's the modern mating crisis we find ourselves in.
This girl at work said something to me the other day, and I can't get it out of my head. Heard a baby around her. I was like, oh God, that's free birth control for me. And she's like, oh, that makes me think of my little baby. And I was like, yeah, I'm too selfish. I don't want kids. I have a dog. That's enough for me. A couple of days later, she's like, so you don't want kids, but you have a dog. Do you have a boyfriend or anything? And I was like, no, I've never had a boyfriend. She was like, how old are you? And I said, 27. She's like, and you've never had a boyfriend? And I never really cared. But there's something about her saying that really hit me this time, because I've never been on even 2 dates with the same person. Even guys I've talked to or hooked up with, they'll slowly stop talking to me, and then I find out they have a girlfriend, or they get into a new relationship a week later. And when I was younger and I didn't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I'd be like, it's because I'm fat. I used to weigh 320 pounds. I lost 160 pounds. It's not like I'm being hit up every day, every week, even every month with people in my DMs or messaging me on Snapchat trying to get with me. It's no one hits me up. It's not even I'm being selective with who I'm picking and turning people away. It's just people aren't coming up to me, and I don't understand. Not I have an issue with people wanting to hook up with me, but if it tries to go a step further, they're absolutely not, no. I don't want to just hook up with random people that I don't know, so I'll tell people that I don't want to hook up with them until I know them, and then they're like, well, you're a prude. I'm I literally can't win. Why it's hitting me so hard this time is the fact that she had the audacity to ask, by choice? And I just sit there and I'm like, no, it's not by choice. When I was younger, I was like, oh, it's because I'm fat. Oh, it's because I'm fat. Once I lose weight, I'll have no problem. And now that I'm not fat, I'm just what is it? What is the reason? So now I'm gonna finish my energy drink and hit the gym until I can't feel my emotions anymore. Maybe that's the reason.
By 2030, nearly half of single women will have never had a boyfriend, 45% to be exact. That's the grim projection, based on trends Morgan Stanley laid out in 2019. As the number of prime working-age women in the U.S. keeps climbing, a staggering number of them are opting out of relationships altogether, throwing themselves entirely into their careers instead. Sure, they're boosting the economy and pushing up wages, but at what cost? Economist Ellen Zentner pointed out that the wage gap used to be all about education or career choices, but now it's all about motherhood, or the lack thereof. Women who become mothers often cut back on work or drop out of the workforce entirely, which is why they make less. But with fewer women choosing to be mothers, the gap might shrink, but so will the number of families. The numbers don't lie. Single, childless women between 25 and 44 are set to skyrocket from 41% in 2024 to 45% by 2030. And for those who think this is just a blip, the trend is expected to keep rising at 1.2% every year. So, get ready for a world where more women are focused on climbing the corporate ladder instead of building families, because that's where we're headed. These shifting lifestyle norms are enabling more women, with or without children, to work full-time, which should continue to raise the labor force participation rate among single females, Zentner says. But let's cut through the economic spin. Single women are shelling out more cash than the average family household on things like travel, nightlife, eating out, skincare, and retail therapy. Of course, economists are going to dress this up as a positive trend, because hey, it's good for the economy, right? More spending means more growth. But what's the real cost here? Sure, the economy might be getting a boost, but society is paying the price. The birth rate is already dipping below replacement levels, and surveys show that unmarried, childless women are more prone to mental health struggles and self-confidence issues. So while these women might be living it up at the mall or jetting off to the latest hotspot, there's a bigger issue lurking beneath the surface. The nuclear family is the backbone of any healthy society, and watching it fade into the background is downright depressing. Fewer families mean fewer children, fewer happily married couples, and a bleaker future. Meanwhile, these so-called prime working-age women are dedicating their best years to careers and bosses who couldn't care less about them, engaging in casual sex that chips away at their mental well-being, and missing out on the true, lifelong fulfillment that comes with being a wife and mother. So yeah, the economy might be booming, but at what cost?
Okay. And all throughout my 20s, this was something that actually really scared me. It was something I was super ashamed of, super embarrassed by. I felt really left out. I just thought I was like one of the only people, because I was around a lot of people that were in relationships or who were already married and way ahead of me on that timeline. And I was scared that it was never going to happen for me. I have dated, I have been in situationships with men, but I've never met someone who I feel like I would want to spend a long period of my life with, like who I would want to be in a relationship with. And this was something that in my early 20s, I actually just never saw myself falling in love or being in a relationship. I always just thought like I would be the person who would never be in love, and love was stupid. And I think ultimately it was just a way to avoid getting hurt. I definitely have been in toxic situations where I've been treated really poorly by men and just used. And I think you could put 2 and 2 together for situationships. I think it really did mess me up. And it wasn't until I really started doing a lot of therapy around my mental illnesses that I learned kind of the impact those situationships had on me overall. And so when I say I've never had a boyfriend, it used to be something that I was super, super ashamed of, because I just figured at this point in my life, 30, I would definitely be in a situation or be at least close to like getting married, having kids, living with someone, like all those things, I figured would already be like part of my life.
It's always 30. It's like even if men don't say anything, women themselves say by 30. Okay.
But they're not. I want to share a little bit about why I think that's okay and why I'm coming to terms with where I'm at in my life is exactly where I'm supposed to be. Even though at times I find it really hard, I still believe that everything will work out how it's supposed to. And I'm just trying to have more faith that the universe will guide me wherever I need to go. But I truly did believe that by now I would be in love and would have found my person. And I think it's super easy for people to say, like, if they've been in relationships in the past or had like really bad experiences, that to be like, girl, you're not missing out on anything. I totally respect where you're coming from, but I think if you're like me and you've never experienced a relationship or been with someone that you really love and want to spend more time with or see your future with, we don't know what that feels like.
It's truly sad to see how feminism has sold women a false dream, one that promises empowerment and fulfillment, but often delivers the opposite. The modern feminist narrative has convinced countless women that their worth is tied to career success, independence, and sexual liberation. But in reality, this pursuit often leaves them feeling empty and unfulfilled. Feminism, in its quest to break the so-called chains of traditional gender roles, has turned its back on the very things that many women find deep and lasting joy in: family, motherhood, and meaningful relationships. The movement has pushed the idea that being a wife and mother is somehow a lesser calling, something to be avoided in favor of climbing the corporate ladder or pursuing fleeting pleasures. Women are told they can have it all: career, independence, and a fulfilling personal life. But the truth is, many end up sacrificing one for the other. The dream of having it all often turns into a nightmare of overwork, loneliness, and missed opportunities for genuine connection. The supposed freedom feminism offers often chains women to a relentless pursuit of success, leaving them burnt out and disillusioned. The saddest part is that many women don't realize the cost of this false dream until it's too late. By the time they recognize that career success doesn't hug you at night or provide the same deep satisfaction as raising a family, the opportunity for those things may have passed them by. This isn't to say that women shouldn't pursue careers or personal goals, but the idea that these pursuits are the only paths to fulfillment is a cruel deception. Feminism has sold a generation of women on the idea that they must reject traditional roles to be truly happy, but in doing so, it has stripped away the value and beauty of those roles. It's a false dream, one that has left too many women chasing after something that will never bring them the happiness they were promised. And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal, link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.